So welcome. Uh,
Do you do you want the video on?
Video on. Yes, welcome. I'm still working out all the bugs. So speaking of bugs, the sutta today, there's two suttas called sick. One is referring to a sick bhikkhu. And what I love about all these suttas is shows the Buddha's compassion. And also there's some teachings that we'll go into, and it's a couple of cardinal suttas actually were related to this. So uh, we'll explore that. I have a document that I made, but first we'll look at Bhante Sujato's translations of these. We can look at the Pali, and then I have in the document Bhante or Bhikkhu Bodhi's translation, just extracts, just to compare. So I'm going to share. I think I need to change. There we go. See what happens. There we go.
Yes.
So this is the document we can look at later, but I have the link to the sutta. And there it is. This is the first one. There's two with the same name. So this is the first. Hatama, that's first. And then Gilana is a sick or sickness. And I think that may just be referring to somebody who is sick, is how that would be understood. But how it's translated is just sick, like a sick one. So it's a sick bhikkhu. So this was at Savatthi. Then a mendicant went up to the Buddha and said to him, "Sir, in such and such a monastery, there is a mendicant, there's a bhikkhu, who is junior and not well known." Unknown, not known, not famous. He's not well known. He's sick, suffering, gravely ill. Please go to him out of sympathy. So this is showing how the bhikkhus or the monastics care for one another. And do you have an idea what the significance? It says here, when the Buddha heard that the mendicant was junior, ill, and understanding that he was not well known, he went to him.
Generally in the suttas, it's just a repetition. So there wouldn't necessarily be an added significance. However, the Buddha probably was able to also use his psychic powers and look ahead and see, oh, what's going on in that community is they're not taking care of the junior because the junior's not well known. That would be my take on it. Do you have additional thoughts?
Well, obviously this one bhikkhu has spoken up for the junior. And it may be that he's just not getting the requisite support. Is another way. I mean, like if he was a famous bhikkhu and the word got round that, why isn't he on alms round? And then the lay people would all,
Yeah, find him and support.
Yeah, this is one idea I had about that, but I don't know if there's another sutta where the bhikkhus were neglecting another bhikkhu because he wasn't. I think they're unpopular.
Yeah,
Unpopular bhikkhus
Is this,
unliked. No, this is
this is not the one that he goes with Ananda?
No.
That's, so there are other suttas where this occurs as well.
But I don't know if it's not well known. It was that they didn't want to have anything to do with them. I
Right,
think that was more the thing. But I think this one is, he's just young, a young bhikkhu, and he's not, because it's just the nature of people, the arahants, they're gonna get all the attention.
but I love that there's another bhikkhu advocating for him.
He is, he
Yeah.
is. So then, so he went to the bhikkhu, he went to him, and that mendicant saw him coming off in a distance and tried to raise from his cot. He was so sick, it was difficult for him to get up. And the Buddha said to the monk, "It's all right, mendicant, don't get up. There are some seats spread out. I will sit there." So even though this bhikkhu was ill, he was making an attempt to be respectful and put a seat out for the Buddha. And the Buddha was assuring to him. He sat on the seat spread out and said to the mendicant, "I hope you're keeping well, mendicant. I hope you're all right. I hope that your pain is fading, not growing, and that the fading is evident, not it's growing." So this is a standard you hear with it. This is asked to lay people and to monastics who are ill. And now, then if they're gravely ill, they say, "Sir, I'm not keeping well. I'm not getting by. The pain is terrible and growing, not fading. Its growing is evident, not it's fading." And some people, including Bhante Anelio, says this indicates something. Do you know what that is?
No, I'm not quite following. What does it indicate?
The pain is getting worse. It's not it's fading away is not evident that the person may be dying.
Oh, that the person may be dying.
Yeah, that I can remember Bhante Anelio. That was something I read.
I'm curious, because as you said, this phrase appears multiple times in the suttas. Do the arahants also use this same phrasing, or do they use a slightly different phrasing?
I don't know. I haven't done that comparison. That'd be
Well, I want to look into it,
we
but
could
not right now.
we could do that some other
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
But sometimes they get better and sometimes they don't.
Yep. Human.
Okay, so then the Buddha asks, "I hope you don't have any remorse or regret." "Indeed, sir, I have no little remorse and regret." "I hope you have no reason to blame yourself when it comes to ethical conduct." "No, sir, I have no reason to blame myself when it comes to ethical conduct." In that case, mendicant, so he said that he had, now this is a double negative, I got confused. "Indeed, sir, I have no little remorse or regret."
Yeah,
That means
I
that's,
just switched over to Bhikkhu Bodhi's translation for that same reason, that it was a little confusing. And in here he says, "Indeed, Venerable Sir, I have quite a lot of remorse and regret." So he's made it more clear that that double negative means that he does have remorse and regret. I have no little amount, which means I have a lot amount.
okay. "No, sir, I have no reason to blame myself when it comes to ethical conduct." So he's keeping his sila very well. And hopefully this is through body, speech, and mind. And then the Buddha questions further. In that case, mendicant, why do you have remorse and regret? See, this is anxiety or no, that's misconduct. Okay. I was thinking of another word. Okay. Because I understand the Buddha has not taught the Dhamma merely for the sake of ethical purity. So this is a little bit cryptic, but he's saying that he has regret because even though he's keeping his ethics pure, he hasn't fulfilled his aspiration in the Dhamma. If that is so, what exactly do you understand to be the purpose of teaching the Dhamma? I understand that the Buddha has taught the Dhamma for the purpose of fading away of greed. So this may mean that he still has greed. He sees greed in himself. So this is what his regret is. And the purpose, he's not fulfilled that purpose. Does that seem reasonable?
Yeah, and I also like the word kukuch. Let's see. Yeah, that if you look at the definition, I like that it also means fidgeting and fiddling. I mean, I know sometimes that,
Oh, there it is, restlessness too.
yep,
There
yeah,
it is.
restlessness, remorse. So
Yeah, so it's a remorse. Yeah, that was
it's
right.
remorse, but I like that it also includes this kind of restless, which I've experienced when sick, and I like that he's actually also applying it to this kind of discontent towards not having completed the goal. You know?
Still seeing the greed in
Yeah,
himself. Yeah.
yeah.
So he's um, feeling anxiety. He's feeling,
Anxiety, I think, is good. Yeah.
yeah, he's feeling regret. He's feeling, yeah. So all of that, that's all, like physically, it's like, oh no. So if you're ill and then you go, oh no, I may be dying. And so this is like a second arrow kind of thing where he's feeling distress for that he hasn't, or it's another arrow. The mind is a, yeah. So it's a little bit different than samvega, I think, where like I want to apply myself to abandoning greed. It's more like, oh no, this is I'm hopeless, maybe. I don't know. So he understands that the fading away of greed is the purpose that for teaching the Dhamma, and then the Buddha affirms him. Good, good, mendicant. It's good that you understand that I've taught the Dhamma for the purpose of the fading away of greed. For indeed, for that is indeed the purpose. In English, something like saying this is the purpose might sound like it's the ultimate or the only reason or something like that. And this may be a little confusing because we hear things like in the chanting, for me, the Buddha is my refuge, the Buddha is my only refuge, and then the Dhamma is my only refuge, or something like that. And the Sangha is my only, and that is, but it's all three of them. So it's like that, it isn't so, the way English is used, the indicating something as the purpose. is not the only purpose, like as we would think only would be used also. I hope I'm making sense.
Yeah, this came up for me when I was before monastic life. One of my first, I was still studying when with a community, and gone on one of my first monastic led retreats, and we were doing the chanting, and that was my question. I was like, I don't understand. How can this be my only refuge and this be my only refuge? And the bhikkhu actually didn't quite understand my difficulty. And it was semantics.
Yeah, yeah.
However, in his answer, he also talked about how the Buddha Dhamma Sangha really, it's like when you see one, you pick up all three. And I
Right.
think the same is true with greed, hate, and delusion. It's like when you unravel one, all three are unraveling.
Yeah, it's all like one, it is like kind of like a strand if you have like a weave, a tapestry, and
Yeah.
there's all these different colors and things like that, and you take a hold of one of the or one of the cords or something, and you pull on it, you're going to get the
You
whole,
get the whole tapestry.
yeah, you get the
Yep.
whole tapestry. So so indeed that is the purpose. And then this is interesting. What happens next is, what you think, mendicant, is the I permanent or impermanent? Chaku nicham wa anicham wati anicham bante. This is we find this in a particular uh, sutta that we chant. So it's impermanent. And he goes through all the sense gates. Is the ear, sotam, nose, ganam, tongue, jiha, body, kaya, mind permanent or impermanent? Maybe you can join me in the chanting. Mano nicho wa anicho wati anicho bante. But if it's impermanent, is it suffering or happiness? Yam panicam dukam vatam sukam vati dukam bante. It's suffering, indeed, suffering. But if it's impermanent suffering and perishable, is it fit to be regarded thus? Yam panicam dukam
viparinama
dhammam kalam nutam samanupasitam. Etam mama eso hamasmi eso me atati no hatam bante. So is it fit to be regarded as this is mine, I am this is myself? No, indeed not, sir. So I don't know if Locke might recognize this, if Locke has been to monasteries or had a chanting book and has chanted a sutta with this kind of inquiry, that there's what do you call it, rhetorical questioning that the Buddha,
It's in here.
it's in that one.
Yep.
So does it sound familiar? Do you get it?
I've not heard it before.
Oh, you
I've
haven't
seen
heard
it
it?
in the book, but I've not heard it
Yeah.
expressed yet.
Yeah. So yeah, so monastics would go, wow, this is very familiar. And that's what I did when I was reading this. So we'll show you. So so seeing this, a learned noble disciple grows disillusioned with the eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind. And this is Evam Pasam Bhikkhu Sutawa Arya Sawako Chakusmim Pini Bindati Sotasmim Pini Bindati, and it's ellipsed. Manasmim Pini Bindati. Being disillusioned, desire fades away. When desire fades away, they're freed. When they're freed, they know that they're freed. Nibindam virajati viraga vimuchati vimutasmim vimutim miti jnanam hoti. They understand rebirth is ended. And this is the funny thing, that there is no further for this place. This is for this existence.
Is not one of his best translations in my mind.
Well, anyway, so
Yeah.
somehow for reason he's
I mean, it's cute, but it doesn't quite
there's
get
no
the point
other
to me.
itita, this present state of existence, earthly existence. So this place, I guess, is the earth. I don't know. Or the physical realm, the realm of this realm of existence and all. But if it's truly this place, it's all existence of all
State of being is
any state of being,
thanks.
so this is, so it's part of why I like to compare translations. So if there's anything that doesn't make sense to you and you're not a Pali scholar, this is what I did before. I'm not a Pali scholar, but having these translations here is really helpful. This is one thing. Bhante Sujato has really given us a wonderful gift
Huge gift.
doing this, even though sometimes we go, what? I don't understand that, the way he's translation.
That's a gift too.
But then he has his reason, and then people question him, and then he'll defend it. So what do I know? I'm not a Pali scholar. But anyway, so I compare Bhikkhu Bodhi, Ajahn Tanisaro, different translators. If something isn't making sense, I did that more frequently. Now I have this translator here and I can find the words, so that helps a lot. So that is what the Buddha said. Satisfied that mendicant approved what the Buddha said. And while this discourse was being spoken, the stainless, immaculate vision of the Dhamma arose in that mendicant. Do you know what that means, Locke? No. Okay, so what does that mean?
The
The
stainless immaculate vision?
yes.
It means they've broken through. They're stream entry now.
They've entered the stream. So this has helped this bhikkhu who's gravely ill. Maybe even he gets well, we don't know, but he's entered the stream.
He gets well in the best way.
And then there's this yang kinchi samudaya dhammam sabam tam nirodha dhammanti. Everything that has a beginning has an end. Everything that has a nature to arise has a nature to pass. This, I think, is another way that's translated. So now, Locke, do you have any questions, or should we just jump on to the continue onwards? Okay, continuing onwards. So here is an extract, and I jumped partly into this because there's two suttas. The second one, this is the first one, and the second one has the first part of it is exactly the same, and this is where the suttas differ, starting at this point. So this is the first one. It says, Venerable Sir, I understand the Dhamma to have been taught by the Blessed One for the sake of the fading away of lust. And then Bhante Bodhi says bhikkhu instead of mendicant. Good, bhikkhu. It is good that you understand the Dhamma to have been taught by me for the sake of fading away of lust. For the Dhamma is taught by me for the sake of fading away of lust. And then he goes through these rhetorical questions. What do you think, bhikkhu? Is the eye permanent or impermanent? Impermanent, sir, the ear, and all the way to the mind, all 6 sense spaces, permanent or impermanent? Impermanent, venerable sir. is what it is impermanent suffering or happiness, suffering, venerable sir. And what is impermanent suffering and subject to change, fit to be regarded as this is mine, this I am, this is not myself. No, venerable sir. And then this is very ellipse. Seeing this, he understands there's no more for the sake of being. I'm going back to this for just a minute. Okay. All right. I was just checking something. So here we have and that's what the Blessed One said, elated that bhikkhu delighted in the Blessed One's statement. And while this discourse was being spoken, there arose in that bhikkhu this dust-free, stainless vision of Dhamma. Whatever is subject to origination is all subject to cessation. That's a yang kinchi samudayang dhammam sabam tam nirodha dhammam. And I think having the nature, the Dhamma, is that the nature of things. And Bhikkhu Bodhi said, subject. And I don't think Bhante Sujato, he just
Everything
said,
that has a beginning has an end.
yeah.
And,
that,
and he's using Dhamma as everything in that case.
yeah, everything. So, yeah, I think I like the sense of the nature. It's just the nature of things. And so here, I cut and pasted the characteristics of non-self, and what they're talking about here is the 5 aggregates instead of the 6 sense spaces, but it's using the same kind of inquiry. And that's why we started chanting along with it, because we chant this frequently. And so, what do you think, mendicants? Tam kim manyata bhikkhave. So they're speaking to a group of bhikkhus. Is form permanent or impermanent? Rupam nicham va anicham vati. Anicham bhante. Impermanent, sir. So it's this very same questions, but using the 5 aggregates. But if it's impermanent, is it suffering or happiness? Yam panadicham dukam vatam sukham vati. Suffering, sir. Dukam bhante. But if it's impermanent, suffering, and perishable, is it fit to be regarded thus? Yam panicham dukam viparinama dhammam kalam nutam samanupasitum. This is mine, I am this is myself. Etam mama esoham asmi eso ma me atati. No, sir. No hetam bhante. No, is feeling, that's Vedana, perception, sanya, and he translates sankhara as choices, so it could be volitional formations, as consciousness, vijnana, vijnanam nicham va nicham vati, anicham bhante. So you see the same inquiry to a group of monks as he did to this one monk who was still sick. And so he was using the 6 sense spaces, and this bhikkhu was troubled with greed. So that's an interesting thing to note. So could be because of the sense, what arises at the sense gates is
Wanting or not wanting.
yes. So it's and as with the Vedana, I think the next sutta is going to show it more clearly. With the Veda arising, we have greed, hate, and delusion. And that's related to the anusayas, the primary anusayas,
Those underlying.
underlying tendency of greed, hate, and delusion. Greed for the pleasant, aversion towards the unpleasant, and ignorance in regards to the neither pleasant nor unpleasant. So we can jump now to the next sutta, which we can go through a little more quickly, and then we can compare, because they're very similar in the first part. Then a mendicant went up to the Buddha and asked him, "Sir, in such and such a monastery, there's a mendicant who is junior and not well known. He's sick, suffering, gravely ill. Please go to him out of sympathy." When the Buddha heard that the mendicant was junior and ill, understanding that he was not well known, he went to him. That mendicant saw the Buddha coming off in a distance and tried to raise out of his cot. Then the Buddha said to the monk, "It's all right, mendicant, don't get up. There are some seats spread out. I will sit there." He sat on the seat spread out, and said to the mendicant, "I hope you're keeping well, mendicant. I hope you're all right. I hope that your pain is fading, not growing, and that the fading is evident, not growing. Sir, I'm not keeping well. I'm not getting by. I have no reason to blame myself when it comes to ethical conduct." So they ellipsed some of the dialogue here.
It's just as in the previous sutta.
So it's just exactly the same. And so that's one thing when you're reading the suttas, sometimes you get all these ellipses and you miss, if you haven't been reading from the start of the Samyutta, say, the start of the section on, this is in Salayatana Samyutta. So if you start in the 6 sense bases and read through, you might remember, oh, this is just the one before, but sometimes it's like a number of suttas, and I have to hunt to figure out what is missing here. Well, there's something in here that they've jumped, So, but we just saw the previous sutta, so we know that there was a dialogue back and forth about, do you have anything to regret? And he does. It's not about ethical conduct. And so the Buddha asks, in that case, mendicant, why do you have remorse and regret? Because I understand that the Buddha has not taught the Dhamma merely for the sake of ethical purity. So this is the same. His sila is good, but there's still something he hopes to develop. If that's so, what exactly do you understand to be the purpose of teaching the Dhamma? I understand that the Buddha has taught the Dhamma for the purpose of complete extinguishment by not grasping.
Can you look at the definition of that long word? Because the different ways of phrasing it landed, I mean, they just really touched me.
Okay, for the sake of complete extinguishing through not grasping, for the purpose of total dousing by detaching, for the sake of absolute quenching without condition. I like that one.
Yeah, all three of them give slightly different nuances. It's like the poetry of the word.
And then it's Anupada Parinibbana. So this is Parinibbana is in here. And this is final Nibbana. So this Bhikkhu has higher stakes. He's like his bar is although complete extinguishment of greed, hate, and delusion would also mean that, but it seems like he's really aiming high. And then the Buddha congratulates him. Good, mendicant. It's good that you understand that I've taught the Dhamma for the purpose of complete extinguishment by not grasping. So, grasping also is related to greed. So, that's quite a long compound word.
Which one?
This one, anupada
Yeah. But,
tongue.
but the first part is the not grasping, and then it's the parinibbana, atta. So good vocabulary.
Yeah, I don't know that I've run into this word before, but
yeah, I'm not sure I have either.
For that indeed is the purpose, and that might be the capital T, the purpose, parinibbana. Although the complete fading away of lust would also indicate that as well. So now he does an inquiry. Again, what do you think, mendicant? Is the eye permanent or impermanent? Impermanent, sir. Is the ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, mind consciousness, mind contact? And then the last sutta, you may have, this did not appear, the pleasant, painful, or neutral feeling that arises dependent on the mind contact. Is that permanent or impermanent? Impermanent, sir. But if it's impermanent, is it suffering or happiness? Suffering, sir. But if it's impermanent, suffering, and perishable, is it fit to be regarded thus? This is mine, I am this is not myself. No, sir. Seeing this, a learned noble disciple grows disillusioned with the eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, consciousness, mind contact. They grow disillusioned with the painful, pleasant, or neutral feeling that arises independent on mind contact. Being disillusioned, desire fades away. When desire fades away, they're freed. When they're freed, they know they're freed. They understand rebirth is ended. The spiritual journey has been completed. What had to be done has been done. There is nothing further for this place.
And I looked it up. This word appears only in 3 suttas, 1 in the Majjhima Nikaya and 2 in the Samyutta Nikaya.
And that, okay. So this is what the Buddha said. Satisfied that mendicant approved what the Buddha said. And while this discourse was being spoken, the mind of that mendicant was freed from defilements by not grasping.
There's actually a sutta 4548 that is the word of that we were looking at, anupada parinibbana sutta.
So if his mind was freed from defilements by not grasping, what would that mean?
Done, happy, not coming back.
So so he achieved his goal.
Mm-hmm.
And what was interesting to me too is this, it may be because of the ellipsis, but here, he said they grow disillusioned with the painful, pleasant, and neutral feeling. He gets into these details with the mind consciousness, contact, and the weight in and being disillusioned, the desire fades away. So it seems more detailed. I don't know if it's just how they ellipsed it or not, but or it could just be the aspiration. The same teaching could have been given, but the aspiration being higher, or the understanding of the Buddha knowing the mind of this bhikkhu was giving him what he needed for this stage.
Mhm.
There's various possibilities. So do you have any questions or comments, Locke?
I think something that's of interest to me here is the contrast between this and the first version of the sutta, where it's not just greed that is the aspiration, it's extinguishment. And that's something that I question in other suttas as well, is sometimes they say, well, it is for the purpose of a better rebirth.
Mhm.
Like, but my understanding is that that's not necessarily the most appropriate aspiration, that there is something even higher than that, and that is the extinguishment and the not returning.
Yes. So
Appropriate for what? I mean, some people, what they feel is appropriate is that I get a good rebirth with my wife. And for others, their wish is to enter the stream. And for others, they're aiming for complete extinguishment. And the Buddha doesn't put down those who are actually looking to be beautiful in the next life. He teaches them how to do that.
yeah.
Okay.
But I agree with you, the
Yeah.
highest aspiration.
Well, there's also that the Buddha will understand the mind of the people and what they're capable of. In this lifetime, this person is gonna, they're in the presence of a Buddha, and they have the potential to hear teachings that could lead them to complete awakening and parinibbana when they pass away, but they're not capable of it. They're not like you're saying, they're interested in something else.
Mhm.
So, and there was there was a monk who was a cousin of the Buddha who was full of lust, and he didn't want to go forth, but the Buddha saw the potential of him, and he promised him that he could be reborn in the realm with all these nymphs, all these
Yep.
beautiful.
You get the gorgeous babes
Yeah.
if you follow
Right.
this.
So then the guy, he says, okay, I'll forget about this wedding I'm about to have with this beautiful woman, and I'll follow you, okay? And so then he's doing the practice, and then he goes, oh, that's really a low goal. He realizes that was a mistake, and the other monks are kind of this guys, and he's all kind of embarrassed because that was what his aspiration to go forth was. And then he starts to realize, wow, there's much more to it than that. And then does he become an arahant or a
I
non-returner or
think
something like that?
yeah, I don't remember, but he
But
definitely goes back to the Buddha and says, yeah, about that goal, can I be released from that goal, please?
something to that effect. So yeah, so the Buddha could be teaching on uh even in that lifetime, if somebody has a goal to go be in the heavenly realm, and then they're doing things, they're generous, and they're going to the temple and sitting there, and the monk is teaching, okay, I'm making merit just sitting here having these words pour over me, and then suddenly they go, whoa.
These words matter.
This is starting to make sense to me. And then, who knows? It just, or maybe that's all they can attain in that lifetime. And the next lifetime, they'll go, whoa, I there's got to be more than this.
Mhm. Mhm.
Anyway, so that was a good question, and we can pop over to the document. We got 15 minutes, so this is the second one that we just looked at. And he understood it's not for the sake of purification of virtue. And he understands that the Dhamma has been taught by the Blessed One for the sake of final nibbana without clinging. This is how Bhante Bodhi translates that long, complicated word. And then he congratulates him. And then he does this again. What do you think is the eye permanent, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind consciousness, mind contact? See, this one's even in the ellipse version here with Bhikkhu Bodhi, they could, it's more complete. They have mind consciousness, mind contact, whatever feeling arises with the mind contact as a condition, whether pleasant, painful, or neither painful nor pleasant, permanent or impermanent. Impermanent is what is impermanent suffering or happiness. Suffering is what is impermanent suffering and subject to change, fit to be regarded as this is mine, I am this is not myself, no, venerable sir. And this is where they ellipse it quite a bit again. Seeing this, he understands there's no more for the state of being. So that makes more for any state of being, but he says for this state of being, any existence. This is what the Blessed One said, elated that Bhikkhu delighted in the Blessed One's statement. And while this discourse was being spoken, that bhikkhu's mind was liberated from the taints by non-clinging. And this was very clear to me that when he says liberated from the taints, although I think Bhikkhu Bodhi's Ajahn Bhante Sujato, excuse me, Bhante Sujato says defilements, but that isn't as clear. When you say liberated from the taints, that's a really clear indication of arahantship to me.
Mm.
But this is because maybe originally I was, the first 10 years of sutta study was with the hardbound, not the electronic. So taints is not such a great translation either, but I understand that means the asavas. So if the asavas are destroyed completely or you're completely freed from the asavas, then that means arahantship. So sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And then, so I was connecting the dots with the, when they go into all the detail about the Vedana, with each, the pleasant, painful, or neutral, permanent or impermanent. We have the, sometimes called the fire sermon. This is Bhikkhu Bodhi's translation. And they talk about all the sense gates. It's the eye, the ear, and so on. The mind is burning, and whatever feeling arises in mind contact as a condition, whether pleasant, painful, or neither painful nor pleasant. That too is burning, and burning with what? Burning with the fire of lust, fire of hatred, fire of delusion. Here again are the three unwholesome roots or fires or floods or underlying tendencies, depending on how they're being spoken of. They're the underlying tendencies that arise with the three types of Vedana. And this is unfortunate translation. The Bhikkhu Bodhi does not, I heard him speaking once and he said this word for nibindati,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, revulsion here. He regrets using that. He said it's a little bit too aversive. So seeing this, the instructed noble disciple experiences revulsion towards the eye, towards form. So this is, again, this is towards the eye consciousness, towards eye contact, towards whatever feeling arises with eye contact as a condition. And was in that last sutta too, only it was with the sense basis. But then when you get to the mind, oh, here's the eye. It's the eye, ear, nose, forms. Oh, I'm sorry. This is forms cognizable by the eye. Forms, eye consciousness, eye contact, toward whatever feeling, towards the ear, towards the mind, towards whatever feeling arises with mind contact as a condition. So all this was in that last sutta, except for the part about burning. That part wasn't there. So experiencing, and then revulsion, nibbida, he becomes dispassionate. That would be viraga. Through dispassion, his mind is liberated. That's vimutti. When it is liberated, there comes the knowledge. It's liberated. He understands, destroyed his birth. The holy life has been lived. What had to be done has been done. There is no more for this state of being. So here's Bhante Sujato's translation of that, because the others were ellipse. So I'm just piecing this all together from seeing this. A learned noble disciple grows disillusioned with the eye. So instead of disgusted or having revulsion, they're disillusioned with sights, eye consciousness, and eye contact. They grow disillusioned with the painful, pleasant, and neutral feeling that arises, independent on eye contact. So here's this word, nibindati. That's the word that I was speaking about. It's repeated again and again. They get disillusioned. Well, what do you like to translate nibbida?
It depends. Sometimes it's like, sometimes I just think of it as just ick.
Sometimes there is actual revulsion.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It's sometimes it's just like ick. And sometimes it's like, oh, I don't want to hold on to that. But there is kind of an ick factor to it.
Well, I've heard that one way I've heard it explained as, when you were a little child, you had your favorite something or other,
Yeah,
whatever it was.
Interesting.
Yeah, like this little toy car, or something, or Tinker Toys or something, and it was just so fascinating. And then it's like later on, it's all just in the corner of the closet, and it's like, not interesting anymore. It lost its fascination.
Yeah, I can't imagine wanting to purchase a movie ticket and go to a theater, and
Right.
yeah, it just doesn't have that draw anymore. But it's not really an ick in that case. It's just kind of like yeah,
This disillusion or disenchanted.
disenchanted. Yeah,
I think this maybe Argentinisos is disenchanted for that.
might be. Yeah.
I think that's how he translates it. Yeah, it's just like there was a sutta where they're talking about the kids playing with their mud houses, the mud castles, like we have sand castles. And then they're fascinating for a while. It's fun to build them up. And then then they see him again and then they just kick them down.
Yeah, he uses disenchantment.
Disenchantment. Yeah, I like that. Disenchantment is a good translation. Also, they just grow disillusioned with all the sense gates, but also the Vedana. Vedanam, sukhamwa, dukhamwa, adukam, asukhamwa, tasmi, pini, bindati. And I was seeing these words in the Pali, so it was like, oh, okay, this is in our chanting. We recognize this.
And it's always the section where we get bouncy and happy and it's like, oh, yay,
Yeah,
freed,
yeah.
vimukti.
Being disillusioned, desire fades away. When desire fades away, they're freed. When they're freed, they know they're freed. Nibidam virajati, viraga, vimuchati, viutasmin, vimuta, niti, jnanam hoti. They understand rebirth is ended. The spiritual journey has been complete. What has to be done has been done. There's nothing further for this realms of existence. I don't know.
It also
Okay.
works. There's nothing further for this place. Mic drop. Yeah.
Kina jati vi
Pusitam
tam brahmacharyam katam karaniyam na param ititayati janati ti. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So that brings us very close to the end, and I'm going to end the screen share. How do I do that?
Red button in the middle of the screen at the top under the glowy.
Oh, there it is. Stop
Yep.
screen share. There we go. So, that was so hopefully whether or not the bhikkhus had recovered from their illness, they've done some tremendous work with the help of the Buddha.
Mhm.
And so hopefully we can learn something from these suttas. Just the seeing the inquiry with impermanence and suffering and non-self as going through for ourselves. We can ask ourselves these questions, I think, and or just understanding the nature. This is the nature of things too in this existence. A drop of something, a cup or something that shatters, and it's, oh, my favorite cup. Oh, that's its nature. It's impermanent. Can I really say it's mine? Is it really mine? Is this body really mine? Is it deteriorating? So do you have any questions or comments, Locke? Want to go? Enough for today? Anything else that you'd like to?
Oh, just when I did that little look for that word, extinguishing by non-grasping, the sutta that's given that name is actually given to wanderers of other, it's like when you're going to talk to wanderers of other sects, they ask, how do you get there? And the answer is the Noble Eightfold Path. So I kind of love that 3 really important teachings have been like shown across this, and it's basically that, as you're saying, speaking to what that individual needs at that time to make the shift to whatever the next stage is for them. Now, just heading onto the path, or stream entry, or arahantship, or rebirth.
Rebirth in a fortunate realm.
In a fortunate, yeah. Generally, that's going to be what people are trying for.
Yeah. So I agree with you, Locke, that yeah, sometimes it's confusing because it's the same thing, like I was saying, the purpose, what is the purpose? And for some people, the teaching is for a better rebirth or just happiness in this lifetime and to do as much work as one can in this life.
Mhm.
And then not to worry about rebirth so much, but to just do what we can, knowing that this life is impermanent and we could die at any time. We're doing our best. Hopefully we'll, we'll we'll at least enter the stream.
Yeah.
But wishing for everyone liberation of the heart and complete freedom of every kind of suffering. So we can close. I'm going to turn towards the altar and pay respects. Araham Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddham Bhagavantam Abhivade Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammam Namasami Supatipanno Bhagavato Sawaka Sangho Sangham Namami. Thank you for joining us. I'm gonna